The apple doesn't fall far from the tree. It's a phrase that we've heard about how, whether we like it or not, we're pretty much similar to our parents. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree. And this really goes back all the way to Adam and Eve. So from the very first time of the fall, when Adam had eaten of the tree, and the Lord called him and said, "Where are you?" Adam was naked and ashamed. And God said, "Well, who told you that you were naked?" And Adam explains that the woman whom you put here with me, she gave me the fruit of the tree, and I ate it. From that moment forth, original sin had been handed down from generation to generation to generation. And the apple hasn't fallen far from the tree since then. However, when Mary was conceived in the womb of her mother with the Immaculate Conception, everything changed. She would become the new Eve. She would become the first person in the world that would be without sin. And she would bring forth her son, Jesus, into the world. And he would become the new Adam. And so we have now two new parents, Mary and Jesus. And because the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, now the apple doesn't fall far from the tree of life. And that means that along with them, we can live a life of grace. We no longer have to live the repetition of sin that's been handed down from generation to generation. We can now live, because of Mary and Jesus, this life of grace. And it's a whole new life now. And the apple doesn't fall far from their tree. And so it's important that we know that, as we hear in the second reading, St. Paul says to the Ephesians, "In love he destined us for adoption to himself, through Jesus Christ, in accord with the favor of his will, for the praise of the glory of grace, and he granted us in the beloved." Because of Jesus, we are God's adopted children. And that means that he is our Father, and Mary is our mother. And because of that dynamic, because of that reality, because of that adoption, we now can follow them. And we don't have to repeat the sins of the Father. We don't have to pass down original sin anymore, because we have a new Father and a new mother. And the apple doesn't fall far from that tree.